Okay, we're going to get started. Um, Thank you for attending our third quarter contract entity meeting. My name is Joy Weems. I am the Provider Services Manager for PHL Pre-K, and I will be your facilitator for today's meeting. So we have a full agenda for you today. We will have a welcome question, and then we will review the Q3 deliverable checklist and the monitoring expectations for Q3. We will also have a demonstration for the mid-year expense report. There will be some information shared about the staff qualification waivers and the deadlines that are coming up in January. We will also give you some information on the emergency closure form as we prepare to go through the winter months. We want to make sure that you have the expectations for emergency closures. And then there will be a special presentation today about the PHL Pre-K inclusion pilot and upcoming RFP. That presentation will be from OCF and SPIN. Then we will share some information about ASQ follow-up, as well as our enrollment team. We'll get some enrollment updates, and then we will conclude with Spark updates from our partner at the Quality Support Center. So today's welcome question is really a reflection on the fact that in the last several months, our country has faced multiple hardships, multiple challenges. So as we think about that, what are some ways that you keep staff and families motivated during difficult times? I'm sure I don't speak just for myself when I say that, there have been times where it's been difficult to stay positive, right? To stay encouraged, as we've seen so many things happen. So if you have ways that you keep your staff and families motivated during difficult times, please put it in the chat so we can share with others. Aisha said being a listening ear. Yep, that's really important. I think sometimes we underestimate just being able to listen to others and not always even give like a response or give our feedback, but just to listen because sometimes, we just need to vent and share. So thanks for that, Aisha. I'll give it another minute or so to see if we have any other ways that folks keep their families and children and staff motivated. Provide support. Thanks, Patricia. Yes. And be supportive and offer time away. hmm Patricia, can you elaborate a little bit more in the chat about what you mean about offer time away? Okay, Vicky said that they have monthly events for
Uh,
parents
Joy,
and
that's with
also
Kelly.
staff.
That's
Oh,
with
okay. That was Miss Kelly.
yeah.
Okay.
And then
Thanks. Oh, goodness. But Vicky also said that they have monthly events for parents and also staff that are free so they can decompress. That's great. That's wonderful. And that's great that they're free, right? Because we know some of the hardships have come from a lack of funds available to families. So that's great. All right. Well, let's see if we have one more. This month, who said this? This is Okay, and I think this is part of Vicky too. It said this month we had painting with dads, which the fathers enjoyed. They had 60. Wow, that's amazing. They had 60 fathers in attendance. They also have tea time with mom, and they provide refreshments and give mom and dads their own time with their children. Wow, that's wonderful. 60, that's huge to get 60 dads, 60 parents in general is that's huge. So great. Latifa said, always reminding them of how important they are to the state and stability of the program, huddling with staff and parents to make sure they all know what their role is. That's, yeah, that's really good. Hmm. Okay, well, if we don't have any others, these were really good. And I hope that, everyone was taking notes. And also, just don't want to underestimate, the power of a smile, right? Thinking about you today. Hope all as well. Even those small things can make a difference, especially when a caregiver is going through, right? And it seems like, if one more thing happens, I might explode. And, you welcome them into your program with that smile and say, we're so happy, your child is here today. That could make a big difference as well. So thank you all for sharing. All right, we are going to move on to our contracts updates. So I will turn the meeting over to Carrie Lee, our contracts manager.
Hi, all. Thank you so much, Joy. So just a few contracts updates, and I'm going to be joined by a couple of our coordinators to help me go through this section. But I can start off here. FY27 seat selection. So these are just reminders. All providers in the system, current PHL Pre-K providers completed the continuation form to let us know your intent to continue in PHL Pre-K for the next program year. The deadline just passed yesterday for the FY27 application for new provider locations. Initial awards are expected in early January to prepare for family applications to open on January 20th. This is similar to last year as well when family applications opened. Next slide. This is the Q3 deliverables checklist. I will drop our landing page in the chat. The deliverables checklist for Q3 is available. You can go onto that landing page to see the Q3 one, and if you need previous ones as well. We should have Q4 as we get closer to the next quarter. All right, next slide. And I'm going to have Theo talk about mid-year expense reports. And you all should have received information by email this morning about it.
All right, so the mid-year expense reports are due January 30th. All providers must complete a mid-year expense report. You'll add your mid-year expenses to the expense tabs in your approved line item budget template. If you need a copy of that template, you can please email us and we'll be happy to send it over to you. We do have some resources available. So we have instructions, a video tutorial that goes through how to complete the expense report, and a line item resource with definitions and examples for each line item. And just as a reminder that failure to submit timely fiscal reporting may result in PHL Pre-K invoicing payments being withheld until we receive expense reporting. And so now I'm going to just quickly demo the expense report. Their license to share my screen. Okay, so here is the expense report. So it's connected to your line item budget. So this is the line item budget that everyone completed during the exhibits process, and then the expense report is connected in the additional tabs. So I've just filled it out as an example. So I just picked, a nice even number. So you'll, in the expense report summary tab, you will select your site name from the drop down. The time frame of the report will be mid-year. the date of submission, and then the total budget amount will come over from your line item budget. And then each budget amount that's in your line item budget will automatically populate in column E here. And so you'll go through each expense report tab and you'll enter in your expenses. So I entered some just as example, so teacher salary, benefits, and you'll enter in all the numbers, and so you'll do that for each expense report tab. Please make sure that for your descriptions, you're listing what you spent it on, and not just putting supplies. Make sure that you list. And then also make sure to include vendor numbers or vendor names, sorry. So you'll just do that for each expense. And then once you've finished completing the expense report tabs, you'll go back to the summary tab and you'll see that it automatically calculated the totals for each line item and then gave you variance in column D. So if the variance is greater than 10% or less than negative 10%, you'll need a justification for variance in column G, and it will highlight for you so that you know that you need a justification. So for program administrator, admin, or fiscal staff benefits, maybe you thought that someone was going to take benefits, but they decided to be on a spouse's insurance. So you didn't end up spending that money. You can just write that as the justification. And so for program supplies, in this example, it's over. So maybe you needed to buy more program supplies at the beginning of the year. You can write that as your justification. So you'll go through and you'll write justifications wherever you need to. So for staff training and development costs, maybe you have a training that's scheduled for the spring. So you'll spend all that money at once. You can write in your justification if you have, whatever training it is already scheduled for the spring. And so the full amount will be spent then. And so you'll also need to include in columns H and I, allocation methods and percentages. So you'll go through and it'll highlight as well, and you'll select your allocation method. So children's, space, time, or other, and the percentage. And that can be a range if it's a range of percentages. And then once you're finished, you'll submit it through the link for the form. And like we said before, if you need a copy of the template, feel free to email us. And also if you are having technical issues filling it out, I'm happy to get on the phone or schedule a Zoom to go through the template with you too.
Great, thanks, Theo. All right, so next up is health assessments, and monitoring will start in December and go through January. We're verifying that at least one health assessment, including immunizations, has been obtained in the past year. Documentation should have been entered in childcare 60 days from the child's start date. And Brittany will take us through staff qualifications and waivers.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Carrie. I will further discuss some staff qualifications, some waiver information. All your staff should have a verified career pathway level, as well as be active and up to date. This is referring to, in the PD registry, their career pathway expiration date. So you just want to make sure that date is current. Additionally, we ask that you please review all eligibility criteria carefully for your PHL pre-K staff, and then only request staff qualification waiver for those that are deemed eligible. Please feel free to check out our staff qualifications landing page. It does include our decision tree as well as our waiver criteria for your convenience. I'll drop that in the chat once we finish the slide. And then additionally, for those who have already been approved, but on a contingent basis, just really want to reiterate the importance of enrollment into additional coursework. Again, that deadline is approaching. It's going to be January 31st, 2026. And you want to make sure that you have met those requirements to ensure that that waiver that you have does remain eligible. Also, we want to make sure that your staff are uploading any current or up-to-date enrollment and coursework, as well as their progression into the PD register. We do check that frequently. And just remember also that this year is a little bit different. There is actually a direct link for PHL pre-K staff, and it goes right into the application to fill out for that continuancy. It's called the PHL pre-K Career Pathway Placement Request Form, and I also will drop that in the chat as well. And then an additional new implementation surrounding the staff qualifications in reference to our foreign degree evaluations as of December 1st, 2025, Octal and Pennsylvania Key, they have developed an initiative to better support the early childhood education workforce. And so any foreign degree evaluations for individuals will be provided by the educational credential evaluators at no cost for the remaining fiscal year. If you have anyone that may have already started this process, they do have information in order to request a voucher for reimbursement. And all that information is on the PDP's website. It is linked to the slide, so when you receive it, you'll be able to click on it, but I'll also drop that link in the chat as well. And then lastly, if you have any staff qualification or waiver questions, please feel free to reach out to the PHL Pre-K inbox at phlprek@phmc.org. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brittany. And finally for us, emergency closure forms. So in the event of an emergency, please submit the emergency closure form within 24 hours. Just a reminder, a request to offer remote learning instruction does require OCF approval. And providers will be required to adjust your program calendar if your closure results in less than 180 days of service.
Thank you, Carrie, Brittany, and Theo. Thank you for that information. I guess we'll check and see if there are any questions. Let's see if there are any questions in the chat before we move on. No, doesn't look like it. All right. Well, we are really excited for this next part of the meeting. We have Kate Eisenpress, who is the Director of Early Childhood Strategic Initiatives at the Office of Children and Families. She is going to share some information with us today about the PHL Pre-K Inclusion Pilot and also an opportunity for an upcoming RFP. So I'll turn it over to Kate.
Thanks, Joy. Hi, for those I don't know, I'm Kate Eisenpress. I'm the Director of Early Childhood Strategic Initiatives, as Joy said. A little over a year ago, some of the wonderful providers in our network, along with partners at CBH, which is the Community Behavioral Health for the city of Philadelphia, came and said, we've got an awesome idea. And it was incredible. And it was really about supporting children with autism to think about inclusion. And so last year, in partnership with Spin and Cora, who have ABA inclusion classrooms, we thought about how do we integrate children with an ABA diagnosis into classrooms with their neurotypical peers. I'll let Joy, I think you said Spin's sharing, right? I'll let Spin share more about the details. They can speak much more eloquently than I, but suffice it to say, every story and every data point makes me cry. And that's really because it has been sort of life-changing for so many of the children, and I think so many of the staff members. And it's really a testament to what PHL Pre-K is all about, which is about responding to our community and making PHL Pre-K even more responsive and inclusive to all of the different needs of our children. It was such a success that CBH said, we're going to actually put out an RFP. And I'll share a little bit more about that. Joy, if you want to go to the next slide, please. So again, just an overview. In the first year, this provided children with an autism diagnosis who are in an ABA EC classroom to spend some time within a PHL Pre-K classroom. And in the first year, there were about 10 kids who participated in PHL Pre-K programming. This year, we have about 20 kids who are participating. And again, as I said, we have seen so many students transition into a neurotypical classroom for either a second year of preschool or into a neurotypical space for kindergarten. And we continue to see just an extraordinary opportunity here. And so CBH put out this RFP. Next slide, please. So here's just a little bit about the RFP. Because this is an open RFP, I will answer questions to the best of my ability, but I do encourage you to check out the FAQs that are posted online. So ABA EC programs are designed to provide that evidence-based support for young children and their families. It provides that environment for kids 3 to 5. And it's for children with either a level 2 or a level 3 diagnosis. So these are children with intensive needs. And this is center-based. So these are kids who are receiving their ABA EC programming within a center, right? Not at home, not one-on-one, but actually in a center. Next slide, please. And so what this RFP is, and the reason we're sharing it with you is that we anticipate that folks might reach out to you, and you might want to reach out to folks. But CBH has put out this RFP for ABA providers, right? So this is for providers who are looking to partner with a preschool to offer this model that we saw work so successfully at Spin and Cora. The idea here is that they would be co-located within a PHL pre-K space, offering their ABA programming with the opportunity for that inclusion. So the way that it worked at Spin and Cora is each of those programs were permitted to hold a few PHL pre-K seats and not have a child enrolled in them, right? So Kate Eisenpress was not enrolled in a PHL pre-K seat, but rather a number of kids, Kate, Joy, and Carrie, for example, were able to cycle through that one PHL pre-K seat while understanding that obviously that seat was considered filled so long as it was used for 1 hour a month. But that allowed a larger number of kids with an autism diagnosis to participate in a neurotypical environment. So this RFP is designed for those ABA programs who really want to include this model to co-locate with a preschool. And CBH is providing preference in granting these RFPs to those who are partnering with a PHL pre-K location specifically, because we understand that the funding is there to allow for children to participate in a neurotypical environment. Vicky, I see you have a question.
Yes. So for the partnership, I did see an email in regards to this, but I didn't know it wasn't anywhere to respond to them because our program, for example, we have more than 25 of the special needs children in our program spread out. Now we're currently working with someone from PHL trying to get services for the ones that's undiagnosed and the one that's diagnosed to support the teachers. Because one of my classes, for example, there's 6 in the classroom with my teachers. Now 6 special needs kids with 20 altogether with just 2 teachers, a lot. From the ones that's nonverbal autistic, who runs, the ones who might get violent. You know, the teachers doing the best they can. They do autism training. So I just want to see, like, for programs like that, are they going to come out and assess programs that really need them to partner with them, or how are they doing the assessment? Because we do
Sure.
have a
So
lot of children like that in our program.
Sure. So this is part of why we wanted to share this with you all today is that we anticipate some of the ABA providers to reach out to you and say, hey, Joy, Vicky, we'd love to partner with you. Could we make this work? Right? And they could share more about the conditions that need to be true. For example, this cannot take away PHL pre-K seats or other seats, right? So we don't want to see a loss in existing preschool seats because of this. However, this is a new space for the ABA providers as well. And so one of the reasons we're sharing this with you all is you might want to reach out to an ABA provider and say, hey, would you like to partner with me? Would you like to do this RFP together, right? And so I believe on the next slide, oh, no, we'll make sure that we can add this in the follow-up, or I can put it in the chat. I thought we had it on here. You all are in a position that you can reach out to the ABA providers to inquire if they would like to partner. Now, again, this is for children with an ABA diagnosis level 2 or 3. And so this would be an opportunity for children to participate in that ABA EC classroom and then spend some time in a PHL pre-K classroom. So it's not for children who are necessarily already enrolled in PHL pre-K, but those whose treatment plans necessitate or suggest that they should be in that ABA EC classroom. So we'll make sure to include that information and that you all can reach out to those ABA providers to see if somebody might be interested in partnering with you, Vicky, or anyone else on this call. Because this is an open RFP, we can't say, oh, you should reach out to X, Y, or Z, but we can give you the information and allow you to make sort of the call to say, hey, I'd like to reach out to this provider or that provider. So our hope here is that ABA providers do reach out, or that you reach out to ABA providers. And the RFP, which will include a link to, includes some of the details about what will make this work. And really, this is a co-located model. So we want folks to think about their program schedule, the environment, and inclusivity. How are you going to make it work? What does the playground look like? Do you have space for everyone to be in the hallway at the same time? Again, making sure that we're not just lumping two pieces together, but really setting up both you all as a PHL pre-K providers and ABA EC partners for success. So some of this is the program operations, and again, you can see more of those details in the RFP itself. But as you'll see here, preference is being given to PHL pre-K providers. We're really hoping to see some examples of this. Because these are Medicaid dollars, CBH is the managed care organization for Philadelphia County, there's not a set limit on how many could go, so how many could get accepted. So we do encourage anyone who's interested in applying. And with that, I'd love to hand it over to Spin to share a little bit more about their experience and some of their successes. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that pop up.
Thanks, Kate.
Absolutely.
So we are going to turn it over to Lindsay Matthews, who is the Clinical Director of Behavioral and Autism Services for SPIN.
Hi, everybody. As Joy just introduced me, my name is Lindsay Matthews. I work at SPIN. I'm the director of ABA. So just kind of want to give you a little bit of background about ABA. About SPIN. SPIN has been an ABA provider in the city of Philadelphia through CBH for a number of years now. We're actually one of the largest providers in the city, but as well, we also have an ECE center, and we are participating in the Philly Pre-K. So because of those relationships, we already have an existing relationship with CBH, and we're already providing the service. And we also we were a good candidate for a pilot program. So this program, the EC ABA classrooms, or we call them the ABA classrooms, so you might hear that throughout the presentation, and that's how I refer to it. We've had since September of 2024, so we're in our second year, academic year of the program. We started off last year with 9 kids in September. Now we're up to 35 children. What that looks like for us is we have 2 centers, 2 ABA classrooms located in our 2 centers, 2 SPIN centers. So we have a center that's on Drummond Road and a center that I'm actually at right now that's on Orthodox Street. So we have 2 classrooms, like I said, in each. So we have a total of 4 classrooms. And just kind of give you a makeup of who's in these classrooms. So we have 9 children in each classroom. All of them have diagnosis of autism, level 2 or level 3. They all have MA insurance insured by CBH. Their ages between 2 and 5. And kind of the makeup of the classroom that we currently have is we have 1 behavior consultant or BCBA in each classroom, as well as 2 we call them BHTs, which are behavior health technicians. So it's a ratio of 3 adults to 1 adult per 3 children, a ratio of 3 to 1. So I just kind of wanted to give you kind of a framework, and these classrooms exist within our ECE center. So last year, after we piloted this program, we began having seats secured through in the Philly pre-K classrooms. So last year we had a total of 4 seats available and allocated for 2 for each center. Our issue at that time was just because we had kind of a slow start because we just didn't have we had the seats, but we had children enrolled in those seats. So all of last year, we really only had 1 seat available to kind of rotate kids. So that's why our numbers last year might be a little different than this year. But we started in January of 2025 and kind of got the ball moving in February. And we had about 3 children from our our ABA classrooms participating in inclusion, right? So might start out, we had an average of 35 minutes a day that we would take a child from our ABA classroom over to the Philly pre-K classroom and participate. This year, we actually were granted more seats. This why we had time in advance to kind of plan to have those vacancies. So what one of our classrooms at each site looks like, we have 3 vacancies in the room, and we are able to have children from our ABA classrooms filter into these classrooms sometimes 2 times a day. So they might do an AM inclusion visit and then a PM inclusion visit. But we have a total of 12 kids who are now participating in inclusion. Just to put it in the framework, we have 35 children enrolled in the program in our ABA classrooms, and 12 of them are included in inclusion. Like I said, last year, our average time was 35 minutes. But this year, our average time throughout all of the kids is 60 minutes, but some of those kids are participating for 3 hours or we actually had a child last week who our ABA classroom was down, but the Philly pre-K classroom was open and she was able to spend the full day in there with staff. One of our staff members goes over with her. So that was beautiful. I mean, our classroom had a day off and theirs didn't, so she was able to spend the whole day. And also just wanted to say that we are holding the vacant seats in these classrooms with the idea that if one kid is able to fully transition into the room, that spot is available, right? And we actually have 2 children right now who are currently in our ABA classrooms who we are on their trajectory to transition fully into the classrooms, which is great. I think we're seeing a lot of generalization. We definitely see a lot of excitement with the children going into the classroom. I think just hearing from the Philly pre-K educational side, they also love when our kids come in. We have team meetings with them. Like the classroom teacher and RBCs meet to discuss kind of ways to kind of how to incorporate our children in, how to get them kind of meshed. So it is really a beautiful thing. There's a lot of collaboration, a lot of generalization. I'm trying to look at my notes to see if there's anything I kind of forgot, but just overall, it's been very, very successful here at Spin, and the way that we're utilizing these seats. Is there any questions?
Let's see, I'm checking the chat. No, it doesn't look like there are any questions right now. But they may come up throughout the throughout the meeting. So thanks so
Okay.
much, Lindsay,
All right, thank you.
for sharing your experience. And thanks, Kate, for sharing information about the RFP and the inclusion pilot that we did last year. I think to Kate's point, this has been so exciting to really work with you and partner with you guys and partner with OCF. It's one thing to have the meetings, right? Which we had many. We had many meetings to roll this out, but then to see the outcomes and to hear from you guys what actually was happening, it was just so powerful. So thank you. Thank you so much for all that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
All right, so along the lines of just making sure that we are supporting our children in PHL Pre-K with special needs, just want to share a few reminders about ASQ. So as you know, ASQs must be completed and entered in the online platform within 45 days of a child's start date. I'm sure that many of you, hopefully all of you, have your ASQs completed at this point. I also want to share that the Family Navigators are reviewing ASQ results and will be reaching out to programs for children who score below for ASQ 3 or above for ASQ or C, score, below or above the threshold and may need a referral and an evaluation. So if you haven't heard from your Family Navigator, you will hear from them soon. And just also want to share that, for the purposes of this activity, the Family Navigators serve as the bridge between the provider, the family, and Elwin, right, to coordinate effective communication and engagement between all parties. So we really, the Family Navigator's role is to try to ensure that there is a seamless process. When it comes to serving our children with special needs. So, and if you are not aware of who is your assigned Family Navigator, please look at the provider update on the social emotional, I think it's on the social emotional landing page. There is a list of the Family Navigators and which programs they are assigned to. All right, we will share some information about teaching strategies. I'm not sure, is Shane on the call? No? Okay, then I will share this slide. Just gonna minimize 1 second. Okay. So our TSG winter checkpoint is due on February 16th. Please use the TSG tip sheets to add a child to Smart Teach for TSG in regards to creating a profile. When creating a profile for a PHL Pre-K child, there are additional data fields that need to be completed. And these are noted below. There are links in the slide for you to access that information. Sorry. And then for the TSG system update, there will be an update on December 12th. I believe that's supposed to be December 12th, 2025. Per TSG, this update is focused solely on backend infrastructure and will not impact your access, data, or day-to-day experience in the system. However, it will change which reports are available in the reports area. The reports in the legacy report section of the report area will no longer be available as early as December 12th. The team has created reports that will provide the same data and functionality. If you have any questions about this, you can reach out to our data team. You can email phlprek@phmc.org. Also, I know in the Smart Teach platform, there's also a way to submit a ticket or to ask questions in the Smart Teach platform as well. All right, at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Kamika Burney, our Enrollment and Referral Coordinator, and Medea Pruitt, our Family Engagement Coordinator, for enrollment updates.
Good morning. So I have a few enrollment updates. So as of December 1st, there are 4,933 children enrolled in PHL Pre-K. Yay! So kudos to 145 sites for 100% enrollment. And just FYI, open enrollment for FY27 is going to begin in January. More details to follow. Okay, so for slot analysis, reviews have begun. Each month, an analysis of approved enrollments, vacancies, and waitlists are reported in Childware. It's completed to understand where enrollment recruitment supports are needed. So we just want to remind you that programs have slots that have been vacant for more than 30 days, must have a current enrollment and recruitment plan on file. Also, please note if seats are not filled within 30 days of notification they can be at risk for reallocation.
I'm
Is
not
Medea?
sure if Medea. Yeah, is Medea on the call? Let's see.
Okay, I'll just do her slides. So
Okay,
kindergarten
thanks.
transition and family engagement. Kindergarten transition plans are due within 60 days of a child's entry date and should be uploaded in Childware. Next up is kindergarten transition meeting. Please be sure to meet with families to discuss education options for kindergarten by January 1st. 2027 kindergarten registration and school selection timeline will be shared. Okay, that's Medea now. Also, families receive a copy of the Family Corner monthly via email. It shares free and low-cost upcoming events, family resources, peer activities for family engagement, all things kindergarten, and a new section by our early childhood mental health and family navigation team to support families.
Thanks, Kamika. Thank you. All right, so next we will hear from our partners from the Spark Quality Support Center. So I'll turn it over to Dina Short, Deputy Director of Coaching and Quality Supports.
Hey, thank you, Joy. So Spark Quality Support Center has all of your supports for all of your deliverables. Next slide, please. I wanted to focus on the Smart Teach platform. We also know it as Gold was the new name of it, but now it's Smart Teach. And this is where you want to go in to upload your child observation documentation. It is also where you will go to manage your children's records. You will want to go in there, add your children information in there, add your teachers in there. I will drop those 2 links into the chat. It'll take you through how to do that. And you also want to remember to complete the home language survey. The winter checkpoint began on November 17th and it closes February 15th. If you have any questions or need any support around using the Smart Teach platform, please contact your coach. Next slide. Here is a map. We have a roadmap to success. So as you are thinking about how to complete all of the observations and ensuring that you have enough observations for compliancy, you just want to map it out and begin to think about how you're going to do this. So these are just a couple of things to keep in mind as you gather your observations so that you can be successful. Getting those documentation, getting that documentation in, and knowing where your children fall on the profile is so important to understand as we're planning our lessons for them and getting them where they need to be, ready for kindergarten. So keep these in mind as you plan to prepare to gather your assessments. Next slide. We have many resources to help you do that. The biggest resource, which I will drop in the chat, is the pacing guide. If you use that pacing guide, it'll keep you right on point of where you need to be with uploading your documentation. So I will drop that in the chat. And also, if teachers are using those intentional teaching cards and those Mighty Minutes, it provides you with what you can observe. It's all right there on those intentional teaching cards and the Mighty Minutes. Again, please contact your coach if you need any support or any resources. Next slide. One other thing, we have office hours every third Tuesday of the month. You can contact your coach, get a link, just come on in, ask your questions. We are there to be able to support you with any of the contract deliverables. The third Tuesday of every month. Tap in, tap in, tap in. Next slide. I'll turn it over to Miss Tamara, who will talk about our website and our Knowledge Center.
Thank you so much, Dina. Hello, everyone. I am Tamora Jackson, Deputy Director for Content and Strategy at Spark, and we have provided you with a lot of general information, and we know that every program is unique. So I'm going to drop a link to our Quality Support Center, and just really encourage you to visit our Knowledge Center. It's our public resource that has numerous helpful features. At the top, there are a few headers that can direct you to various links on our website. And also there is a calendar and a search bar where you can, if you're not sure where to start, you can start there. You enter a few words for the topic that you're looking for, and then the search results page will show you everything that's related to that topic. We have a featured topics link that highlights sample topics on the website, and it's our way of kind of customizing and aligning various different subjects that can help you meet your Philly Pre-K deliverables. We also have a quick links that has a various different information about other agencies that you might be working with. And there are also 3 pathways to live engagement through our help desk and also our phone line. And there's also a chat with us feature. So with that feature, we have Spark staff that are available to respond to your questions and also share and offer resources in real time. So let me go ahead and drop the link to our support center in the chat, and then also want to make sure that you have information about our upcoming PD Day. I'm going to drop that link in the chat as well. So with our upcoming PD Day, the focus is on strong foundations, financial management, and supervision for sustained childcare. It's a full day of topics and sessions from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And there'll be a session on writing policies and procedures. There'll be a session on creating a culture of supervision. And then there'll also be a session for budgeting, tracking, and maintaining. So when you click on that link, it will lead you to a QR code that you can scan to register, in addition to a link that you can click on to register for this event. So I highly recommend that you come to our PD Day, especially if you are a director or an administrator. These are going to really help you with your financial management skills and also give you some operational clarity as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dina and Tamara. Well, we are getting ready to conclude our meeting for this morning. So we have a couple of dates for you to remember. January 31st, the mid-year expense reports are due. And then February 16th, we have our TSG winter checkpoint. So please remember these dates as we go through the third quarter. I also just want to make sure we don't have any questions in the chat before we end. Let's see. No, okay. We have a quiet group this morning. If there are any questions that come up after the meeting, please feel free to email phlprek@phmc.org and we'll make sure that they are answered. Thank you to everyone for attending this morning's contract entity meeting, and we'll see you for the Q4 contract entity meeting in March. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.